This is a journey into sound. A journey which along the way will bring to you new color, new dimension, new values, and a new experience.
Welcome to the Ghee Spot Podcast. I'm your guide, Katie Silcox, bringing you your weekly self-love soundbite. Join us for conversations around sex, spirit, and all things self-care. All things self-care. All things self-care.
This is a journey into sound.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
You are a Ghee Spot Podcast with Katie Silcox.
Hey, Ghee Spot listeners. Our podcast is brought to you by I Love Ghee, Ahara Ghee. How about adding a little bit of ghee to your favorite coffee or tea? What if I told you could add a tablespoon of vanilla or chai ghee to your coffee or your tea or your chai? I've got some superfood latte options for you over here. Nut milk, herbs for stamina like maca, ashwagandha, and shatavari, or even a little bit of maple syrup. You guys, it's fall, and it really is the season where we get to indulge in these yummy things like hot, warm spices and a little bit of oil. We love our sponsor, Ahara Ghee. If you haven't checked them out, I don't know what you're waiting for. We're going to give you a link directly to their recipe for how to butter up your coffee or your tea with the I Love Ghee way. So check that out in our show notes. And on to the show. So it's appropriate that today we are talking about Rasa, this Ayurvedic Sanskrit word that literally translates into sap, juice, the loving, unctuous, flowing waters of your body. And if you study Ayurvedic medicine, you learn that Rasa is the name of the first of your primary tissue layers in your physiology. And so what our body does is it takes what's called ahara rasa, this refined aspect of the food that you put in your body. It takes that food essence and turns it into the first layer of your physiology, which is rasa. And more of a Western or English equivalent, if there could be one, would be your white blood cells, your blood plasma, and your lymph, your lymphatic system. It's all related to rasa. And that's why in Ayurvedic medicine we give such primary import to tonifying and purifying the rasa. In other words, toning and purifying your lymphatic system. We do a lot of work with dry brushing, sauna, steam, and of course the famous Abhyanga, or Ayurvedic massage, which is not a deep tissue massage, it's a lymphatic massage. And so that makes a lot of sense. This is the primary tissue of the body, and from that primary tissue comes blood, comes fat, muscle tissue, and bone, sinew, nerves, and guess what else? Sexual fluids. That's right. So all the way down to these sexual fluids, and then from there we get what's called ojas, which is this overall immunity, not only physical immunity, but psycho-emotional immunity. We want to have good ojas, right? Rasa is also, guess what? It's so beautiful, Ayurveda. Rasas are your emotions. And I've got that particularly on the brain this past few weeks, and especially today as we start our big Rasa training. One of our 5-day modules here at Shakti School begins on Friday, and we are having 70 women coming in from all over the world, really, to study and to experience the power of working with the rasas. And you have lots of emotions, right? And we give them names, but really they're all biophysiological events. That's so cool. That means that what in my body I might label the biophysiological, even the structural movement pattern event, in my body I might label that excitement. And in your body you might label that fear. Another event I might label, this is sadness. And in your body you might label it grief or shame. In my body I might label something anger. And in your body you might label it passion. This is all to say these biochemical events in our bodies are really subject to what the ancients understood was the wrapping or the enmeshment with chitta. And chitta is our mind matter, our perceptions and our labeling of things. And that's where the problems happen. So guys, the beauty of all of this is if we were just able to be with our emotions, emotion, energy in motion. It comes from the Latin root emovere, which means to move. If we were able to be with the experience of the emotion with our pure awareness, what we would find is that these emotions move. They have a digestive process that's akin to eating a banana and letting that banana digest itself through our system. We don't have to think about how to cue the digestive process, right? Thank goodness. That would be incredibly annoying. And we would spend all of our day doing that instead of fun and creative things. And so the emotional digestion is a mirror of that physiological digestion. If we can get out of the way and not label and not superimpose our perceptions on the emotions, they tend to digest themselves on their own. And I'm not saying this is an easy thing to do, which is why we dedicate a whole 5 days to it, and we have a year-long program, as you know, called Ayurveda School, where we get to really spend a lot of time understanding our physiology, our mind, and our energy, so as to give a lot of containment around that experience and that process. So if you look emotion up in the dictionary, Science Daily calls it an emotion. In its most general definition is a neural impulse that moves an organism to action, prompting automatic reactive behavior that has been adapted through evolution as a survival mechanism to meet a survival need. Wow. Really understanding it from a scientific place kind of helps, right? Emotion is a physiological event taking place in the body. Wouldn't that be amazing? The next time you felt super pissed off at your husband, you could say, oh, look at this interesting biophysiological event happening right now, instead of the definition we use, which is normally, I am experiencing a feeling that is somehow related to some sort of psychological truth about reality. And so current theory really on emotion combines two definitions, right? That an emotion is a significant physiologial event that takes place in the body, meaning that there's a neural impulse happening, and it's out of the ordinary, if you will. And so this event is uncommon enough that the brain takes notice, that the conscious brain takes notice and says, oh, what is this, right? A more psychological definition of emotion understands it as this complex interweaving of psychological states that have three distinct components: a subjective experience, a physiological response, and then a behavioral or expressive response. In other words, an interpretation from you based on your personality and your subjective experience, and a biological response, and then a reaction, right? And so we can think about emotions as a reaction. And what we're attempting to do when we, quote, work with emotions in a more holistic or advantageous or spiritually evolving way is to begin to shift from experiencing emotions as a reactive event where there's a lot of charge. One of my favorite teachers of this is Michael Brown, and he says, when you're charged, you're not in charge. The adult is not in charge. Who's in charge? Oh, you guys, it's our little children that we all are walking around holding. And when we're in a charge, that adult is not in charge. And so you may have the, desire to be like, ugh, fuck this. I'm sick of feeling this way. I personally know this very well. I experience the emotion of fear and anger and sadness and loneliness on a regular daily basis, right? It's a part of being human. The Buddha experienced these emotions. Christ experienced these emotions. We will never not be with these emotions. They are biochemical events. They are an aspect of our physiology. But what happened was we start to get mad at our emotions, right? I noticed myself being like, dude, are you serious? I'm having this one again, and what I'm doing essentially is reprimanding a really innocent child who's afraid and lonely and upset. And so I have a little picture of myself. It makes me cry to tell you guys this. I have a little picture of myself, and I'm sure you have lots of baby pictures of yourself, but there's one particular picture that I have that I keep nearby, and it's a picture of me where I'm so little. My dad, I think it's my dad because you can't see who's in the picture. It's just his arms are holding me, and I look really kind of upset or afraid or startled. I just have this look on my face like, I'm not sure I like this. And I keep that around because that's the one who's afraid. That's the one who's upset. And when I look at that picture, there's no way that I can meet her with anger. There's no way. Because this emotional reactivity that all of us are experiencing, and by the way, it's on a global, geopolitical, cultural level. All of the stuff that we see going on in the politics in our world are little children reacting. And so what Michael Brown says is, can we, instead of react as the child, or as the adult being punitive, angry with the child, could we be this good parent to ourselves and respond? To respond to our emotions is very different than reacting and identifying ourselves with our emotions as our emotions. My friend Steve Hoskinson, the founder of Organic Intelligence, which is a somatic, body-based trauma resolution method, he says, how would it be to really allow ourselves to just meet this little one with so much love and compassion? And so reacting being our hardwired impulse that many of us have, to response. What would that be like? The issue is the subjective label that we give these, quote, significant physiological events. One of our beautiful teachers here coming up at the Rasa training is Alicia Farhado, who's such an expert in the biophysiological expression of emotion. And she says the emotions of anger, fear, sadness, even happiness, disgust and surprise, the subjective label we give those significant physiological events is our perception. And guess what? Our perception of the event is based on our knowledge and labels from the past experience. The yogis said the same thing. Samskaras, these grooves in our neurostructures, these neuroplatforms that we all experience, are based on the past. And what does that mean? It means they're not based on what's actually happening in the moment. We can think about our ways of reacting or responding as a sympathetic event and a parasympathetic event. And I just want to make it really clear, there is nothing wrong with reacting when you need to react. We do not want our body to respond slowly and thoughtfully and compassionately to significant, how do I say this, to an imminent danger. We don't want our body to think about what would be the most loving, compassionate response in this moment. No way. By then we would be dead, right? If we're really dealing with a danger, a car almost hits you, or someone's coming after you, or you feel someone's behind you and you need to start to run, all of these things we need to, react. I remember, my little nephew wanting to put his hand on a knife, and I pulled it away and yelled, no, right? That's a good thing. That's sympathetic emotional expression. That's a good thing. We want to be able to react. The problem is that when we have an experience and we're reacting as if everything were a sympathetic event, and it's not. And so a parasympathetic emotional expression, when our body has the senses online, when our 19 different proprioceptive and other senses are online, we can more adequately start to detect, when is this a significant emergency event and therefore I need to react? And I need to base this on past experiences, right? Like, the reason that a part of our brain is that sort of storage of past experiences, and labeling is a really good thing, is if you're out in the wild, you want to be like, oh, I remember the past event when that snake bit me, and I want to label that as dangerous. I want to label that particular leaf or plant as, don't eat that, right? Dangerous. So there's a reason all of this labeling and storing happens. What's not good is when we lose that capacity to sense parasympathetic, emergency versus non-emergency events. So what is a parasympathetic emotional expression? Well, a parasympathetic emotional expression is when we can allow the emotion to just arise and come to fruition in the body without labeling it as right, wrong, good or bad. And what's really important is being able to feel and sense the location of the emotion in the body. When we do that, we aren't suppressing anything. We aren't cutting off our body from the experience because it feels uncomfortable, which is really common. I mean, I think all addiction, at least a lot of addiction, is a lack of community and an attempt to not allow an emotion to come to fruition in the body. Ayurveda says the same thing. It says, Dr. Ladd says, let your emotions be like ripe mangoes. When the mango is ripened, let it juice itself, right? And they'll usually, as Alicia teaches, only last about 90 seconds. 90 seconds is how long it takes your body to juice a mango of your emotion. What happens is that we start to get involved, my loves. We start to label it. We start to judge ourselves. We start to talk to ourselves about our feelings. Not good. We start to say, oh shit, this is that feeling again. I always do this. Or, oh, that person really pissed me off, and that reminds me of my father, and et cetera, et cetera. You guys know what I'm talking about. I know you do. And I'm laughing because I certainly noticed this in myself. So why I'm so excited is that Ayurveda School exists, you guys. And we do this beautiful work in Ayurveda School and here at Shakti School of teaching you guys modalities. Lots and lots of modalities. Modalities on the physical level of your daily routine, of how you can use your morning routine to help process this stuff. We work on the energetic level, how your energies can be positively used and channeled. Meditations and visualizations that can help you process and channel these emotional experiences so they don't remain suppressed. We work with the physiological structure and the bones and how we can use body yantras or nasyas, these points in the body. Nyasa is that the pronunciation. where we can focus our attention in these bone structures so as to let a channel of flow happen for the emotions. And we also work on the spiritual level of drawing in our allies and our ancestors for support along this journey. You know, one of the things I haven't said is that, as you know, if you listen to my talk on Tarpana, this practice of working with our ancestors, guys, not all of your emotions are yours. Not all of your emotions are yours. Some of them are your moms and your grandmoms and your great-grandmoms. And you don't even have to think about that too much, because you'll go crazy trying to figure out that stuff. If you need to have an insight, you'll get one from your higher self. But, you know, a lot of this emotional processing work we're doing is our downloaded program that we inherited from our parents. What an honor to be able to be the ones who are brave enough. And as one of my beautiful mentors said to me the other day, maybe the emotions are showing up because they finally feel that you are a safe place enough for them to be here. Those of you out there listening that struggle with your feelings and your emotions and the energies on the planet right now that are very high of anxiety and sadness, depression, fear, anger, what if we reframed it? What if our systems, our soul level, felt so sure of your capacity right now, of your strength right now, of the power of your bravery and your presence right now, that they felt they could be vulnerable enough to show up? All right, my loves, I leave you with a prayer and a blessing that you may have more ease as you allow these feelings to rise to the surface. If you are thinking that you would like a home, an online home, and an educational platform and structure to work therapeutically, get your booty in level 1 right now. And if you're in the level 1 already, get your booty in level 2. We have 2 stages of Ayurveda School. It's a 2-year program. Sign up for level 1 and check it out. We are filling up. We've got over 100 women signed up for January 2020. They are women from all over the world, and they are women just like you who want to have a home, who want to have a place where we get to meet every single week. We've got about 20 incredible teachers supporting this effort here at Shakti School. They are some of the wisest and most heart-centered women on the planet, and it's my honor and privilege to be the head teacher here at Shakti School. And we're starting again January 2020. Hope you can join us. Sending you much love from the mountains of Virginia to your earbuds, wherever you find yourself.
Pote phulla pon sukhe pote phulla